Alright, cool. I gotta turn Rockfin on now. Yep. You need this. Yep. My screens are good, I think. And then I can do this and go into studio mode and check this. Yeah, I'm glad you told me to, because I have it set for Reefer, the last Reefer I did. But all I had to do is turn this nameplate on and find your name and turn that on. And then I think that fixes everything.
Wait, so if you don't trust the CIA or you don't trust like our institutions, then what do you trust? Wait, so if you don't trust the CIA or you don't trust like our institutions, then what do you trust?
Last track, I think I only blinked once. I skipped
Hold on, I'm
lunch,
making a button.
blinked twice. Christ, shut your eyes. Now open wide.
I'm copying a
Fascists
button
took
and
the
moving
nation
it.
And inflation took a supersize.
And then I had to go in here to
It's
this
sad to say your
multi-action and then
teachers
change it
couldn't quite
from
make the ends collide.
this
But now
scene
you'll
here,
probably get to see them
which
on
is
the
INN
weekends
4
doing
person,
Uber drives.
to
Say
INN
lube it
2
with a little
person,
oil. One, it tastes expensive too. You'd be surprised how well
right?
it helps you
And
open up
then
your throat so you consume
that
the
should
lie
be
of
our
human
intro
rights
for
that was sold to you by suits and ties, designer sense on plastic men with
Now I can
patient
do this.
fangs and ancient vice. You know the kind of greed that makes a person lose the side of morals.
And I need to set this up anyway when we have that other intro. It's like a multi-action. It like times out stuff. So like that little intro we have now, it times and turns our mics on and stuff.
You'll know you'd never want to see inside. If every man's an open book to look within, theirs are bound in human skin and not designed for human eyes. They are wearing human skin, but they can simply not be humanized. They aren't worth the lowest of the poor they swore to crucify. Holy sweet Geneva, there's a mass grave full of dead believers you called the police on cause you don't believe in squatters' rights. You believe the sanctity of human life is relative to human worth in terms of work and dollar signs. So listen when I say you need to find the light of day before it's too late to apologize. Like holy sweet Geneva, here's a mass grave you can colonize. Because you seem to love to talk about the spirit of America. But if you saw the spirit of this land's supposed character, I think that you'd be calling ICE. And I also think the actual America is truly represented by the call to ICE. Is represented best by the descendants of some immigrants bitching about the immigrants, snitching on some immigrants, then playing dumb and innocent like good little Christians when their neighbors get deported. Until they're screaming at the store that they waited 20 minutes more because the staff was short. Because some ordinary bigot started waging war on immigrants. And honey, we'll just keep deporting because like your first vote and each election since, it turned out that the man you are supporting ended up to just be twice the fucking bigot as the bigot that he wins against. But I was not among the herd. A single word from Biden stirred a tingle in the cynic's sense. I knew that a vote for Joe was more like Reagan 2.0. I could smell that sarin smoke that choked around the river bend, and so I spoke about a living end, about an anchor thrown to drowning men, a democratic president, a country never found again. A man who marinated in the blood this land was founded in. A crime bill that contains sufficient lethal ends to drown us in. All written by a man who wears a crown of sins, who currently is sleeping in a bed of sins. And it's no wonder those who truly understand the meaning of democracy are not too keen to let us in. It's no wonder other countries can't conceive of skipping meals or missing rent or being on the streets because you can't afford your medicine. That's uniquely American. And Joe has proved to be the most disturbingly American of presidents. I shiver when I think of what's to come if he's the precedent. It's a wonder I can even function still to process all the rhymes through all the resonance. Bless my heart, I'm liminally reticent, standing on a threshold of bone, ash, and sediment, near a faded marker claiming this to be the grave of all my sentiments. exactly where I left them all and just how I remembered it. It's a wonder I can even function still to process all the rhymes through all the resonance. Bless my heart, I'm liminally reticent, standing on a threshold of bone, ash, and sediment, near a faded marker claiming this to be the grave of all my sentiments, exactly where I left them all.
Who are these people?
Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Iron and News. It's Wednesday. How's everyone? I'm here with my co-host Collin. How are you, friend? We do this every week, and somehow it's still
like you were freaking out like a few seconds ago, and all of a sudden you're just like, "Hi, welcome.
How are you? How's everybody doing?" Okay, it's you just need that, a little bit of peace in the storm, Just need a little bit.
I'm sure.
Technology, people. It just is a finicky thing sometimes. But anyway, everything's working, I think. We'll see. Sometimes my computer just decides, all that stuff you set up beforehand so it works? I'm just going to move all that now. I'm like, okay. I don't know why you did this.
I mean, Reef is a tech genius, and basically, as he was trying to explain to me what was happening, I'm just like, sure.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you might as well be talking Japanese, and I know some Japanese, but like, not that, but
okay.
but
I just asked if you wanted to take this outside. I starting fights over here. We'll go outside. You want to take this outside?
You should have played that. You should have played that sound. Catch me outside. How about that? Catch me outside. How about that?
I don't know if I have that on the.
Like that.
Do I have that?
You do have that. You have that. You played that.
Mm-hmm. This one?
Catch me outside. How about that?
Yep. You heard it that time, I hope.
No, I didn't. I did not.
So I wish people could see what happens like in OBS and things when you have filters and plugins that make your stream work. But like, if OBS turns off, I have to go in and like flip-flop some switches. It's weird and dumb. But now,
catch me outside. How about that?
Stream did hear it. You just didn't for some reason.
I did not hear anything.
What do you mean you didn't hear anything?
I didn't hear anything.
What do you mean? Oh, because I did it to... God, I'm dumb. God, I'm dumb. I'm dumb boy.
Emotional damage.
Now I heard it.
Okay.
The fam heard it, but I didn't.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Yeah. Perfect. Sorries, everybody's. We got stories. You want to talk about those? We have some stories.
We got some stories. And chances are you're probably here for the big one. So I got into some shit over the weekend with Mike Figueredo, also known as Humanist Report. And I'm sure many of you watched my stream with JB talking about that. I'm sure a lot of you watched Sabby on Jimmy Dore, I think it was yesterday, talking about that. Kit Cabello from Hardlands Media talked about it on Monday. I'm not going to talk about that right away, even though I know you guys are here for that. We're going to wait for that. I actually want you here. There's an article that I found on the Twitters maybe a couple of weeks ago. We talked about Haiti also a couple of weeks ago, and we talked a little bit, just what's happening in Haiti currently. Wanted to read this article in regards to, what happened back in the day in our connection to Haiti and how a lot. What happened?
Nothing. You're good. I fixed it. There you
go.
go.
So when I talk about our friend Frederick Douglass, and he was actually ambassador to Haiti for a couple of years, and talk about some of the issues that he had in his ambassadorship. That being said, we're going to split it up into two parts. I want to read half of the article this week, the other half next week, just
Okay.
because we have some longer stories. Last week we had Due Dissonance on, and we went for a while. And to be fair to you guys hung out for that amount of time. We don't want to do that to you this week. We want to try and keep it around 2 hours. So
Yeah.
we're gonna cut that one in half. So, and what you got?
I got some stuff. I got an interesting story that I don't think people were following like completely. It just kind of happened, but Jennifer Newsom testifies at the Harvey Weinstein trial.
You might want to tell the folks who Jennifer Newsom is if they don't necessarily make the connection.
The first partner of Gavin Newsom.
Yeah.
So why
California governor.
Right.
So
yes. And we've got FTX. I figured I'd talk a little bit about that. I brought a story from Craig Murray
and the dummies in the chat. Can you please quickly explain
that
what
was
that is?
a crypto business that ended up being a scam. That there's some fun money laundering with the U.S. government, and it's a thing. People are hearing about it. There's stuff. I think even Rogan talked about it today. But yeah, there's a stream that was on. If you go to the Convo Couches channel, INN member Tara Reid was there talking about it. So that was good. But yeah. And you have you talked about your stuff, right?
I did already, yeah. So
Okay.
I think we can get started.
Cool.
So yeah, just one thing. Thank you guys. We had a huge week. Probably I would not guess, more than likely due to the ish that happened over the weekend with me, and you guys responded in kind by subbing to us. And as you know, we're trying to hit 1,000 by next month, and we're very close now. We're about, as of now, 169 subs away from 1,000. So please make sure you like, share, subscribe, try help us in the algorithm. And yeah, let's hit 1,000 so we can start doing the monetized thing and be able to do some more things as far as growing the channel, especially since should we say this now? We have our little special celebration over the weekend, right?
Yep.
Was supposed to.
Yeah, we've got anniversary streams going out, so that should be fun, right?
Yep, celebrating our INN's first birthday live. And yeah, so all day Saturday, we'll talk more about it later. But we're gonna have you know, people within the network collecting stuff, gathering stuff. That will basically be, I think, about 12-hour stream. There's gonna be some exclusive stuff that we're posting out, some stuff that we haven't released that we will release on Saturday. So yeah, definitely check us out and check on the Twitters, and we'll give you a little bit more information as to what the schedule is going to be like over the weekend for our anniversary stream. So that being said, you're ready?
Yep, I am ready.
All right. I just need to see
that and
no
this. Why did it? Jesus Christ.
No.
There we go. That did it, right?
No.
What is going on? Hold on. Let's get out of studio mode for one, so I can see things. Okay, why did that monitor just change? What? See, that should be. Hold on. Let's go here. Display. Display. Wrong display. Wrong display.
Inception.
There we go. No. That.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Now will this work? Yes, that works.
Yes.
Cool.
And have your screen go goodbye, please, so I can read.
Yeah. There you go.
Thank you, sir. So this is from the Boston Review. This was written by Peter James Hobson. Actually found out yesterday prepping. He's an author, and he has actually written a couple of books in relation to the Caribbean. We actually linked to his Twitter in the description if you are interested in learning more about him. But he wrote this article, I believe he might have wrote it a couple of years ago, maybe around 2018, 2019, on Frederick Douglass and the American Empire in Haiti. Toward the end of his life, Frederick Douglass served briefly as U.S. ambassador to Haiti. The disastrous episode reveals how much about the country's long struggle for Black sovereignty while always under the threat of the U.S. empire. So we continue. At the age of 71, Frederick Douglass was appointed ambassador to the Republic of Haiti by the administration of U.S. President Benjamin Harrison. Douglass had helped stunt for Harrison during the 1888 presidential elections, and the position was something of a reward for the elderly abolitionist. However, Douglass's short time in the post, from the end of 1889 to the summer of 1891, was an absolute debacle. It served to tarnish the latter days of Douglass's mayoral career and is widely seen by both his contemporaries and later biographers and critics as having been calamitous. At the time, the Harrison administration sought to lay the blame of his failure on Douglass. Yet Douglass's personal account of those years exposes instead the fraught negotiations faced by Black folk who chose to serve the cause of U.S. imperialism. His account also reveals the unbridled paternalism and bullying contempt that has, historically, shaped and governed U.S. diplomatic relations with the hemisphere's first independent Black nation. In it, we can also see a precursor of a century of U.S. electoral and financial meddling in Haiti that has led to the gutting of its economy and the undermining of its sovereignty. Ah, it disappeared.
Disappeared?
Yes.
Where?
It's gone. The screen's black. I can't read.
For me, it's not.
For me, it is.
Like, that's weird.
Hold on.
Hold on. Oh. Now?
No. Still can't see anything.
Like, the stream can see it. Why can't you? What is going on? Like, I'm looking at the stream. Everything's fine. Like, and it's still, hold on, let me try. Can you see me now?
No.
No. Okay.
I just see me in my little screen in Zoom. That's it.
Okay. Did we like try going back to Zoom and like, you want to try leaving out Zoom and coming back in? I think it's fine on mine, but I don't know. Like, I can see it looking up there, but we'll see. Anyway, I'm here, everybody. Hopefully you guys can see stuff. I don't know why technologies, but it just does sometimes. You know? I mean, everything appears to be working. You know? Still no?
Still no.
What?
Still can't.
Like, what's crazy is that I can see it, like, in Zoom, you know? Like,
okay. All right. Well, I guess plan B.
Hold on.
You probably will have to read it.
Sure. I mean, I just don't know why you're like it doesn't. Let's try going back to that, and then still nothing.
Nothing.
Dude, what is going on? Let's do. It's like OBS just decided to like. I don't know if it's me because I see it is the problem. You know?
Well.
And there's this. Okay, that's off. That's on. Filters. Do you see OBS thing now?
No. I see nothing.
I think it's got to be on your end. Try like is there like right click where that box would be, and then see if there's like show video, or I don't know what the deal is. Okay, that works. That's your video. What the crap? See, like here, I'll do this. In Discord, I'm sending you a photo. That's what it looks like for me. Looks right for me.
Okay, but yeah, I don't have anything. Like I
Okay.
literally have a black screen in Zoom. The only thing I see is my small window. I think if you just have to read it.
Okay.
Sorry, man.
Right. That sucks, but that means you're not gonna be able to see anything later either.
No.
We have to
Well,
figure out
I'll just have to read it from our slides on my own.
Okay. I don't know why. Hold on, let me Google real quick. While I'm reading. But so where do you stop?
I stopped, I think. I'll read this slide since I could see it in YouTube, and then you can continue. All right. Let me go back a little bit. Douglas's account also reveals the unbridled paternalism and bullying contempt that has historically shaped and governed U.S. diplomatic relations with the hemisphere's first independent Black nation. In it, we can also see a precursor of a century of U.S. electoral and financial meddling in Haiti that has led to the gunning of its economy and the undermining of its sovereignty, and now to the ongoing crisis of its democracy. An embittered coda to an eminent life, Douglas's account reveals as much about U.S.-Haitian relations in our present moment as it does about the past.
Okay. So when Harrison ran as the Republican candidate for the 1888 election, Douglas' support was integral to securing Northern Black votes and defeating a Black congressional candidate opposing Harrison's man in Virginia. When Harrison won, Douglas helped to receive the sinecure of Recorder of Deeds, the sinecure of Recorder of Deeds as a reward for his service. Instead, Secretary of State James G. Blaine offered him the position of minister and consul general.
It works.
Okay.
I see it now.
Okay.
All right.
What witchcraft is happening? Someone explain. Like,
that's
what
my
is going on? Yes.
That's Mike Figueredo.
It has to be.
That's the ghost of Mike Figueredo working against us, because he's still pissed at me. I just probably need. Hold on, let me see. Yeah. Oh no.
There it goes.
There it goes. All right. Just want to go back. Yeah. All right. There we go. I can see now. All right. When Harrison ran as a Republican candidate for the 1888 election, Douglas's support was integral to securing Northern Black votes and defeating a Black congressional candidate opposing Harrison's man in Virginia. When Harrison won, Douglas hoped to receive a sinecure of Recorder of Deeds as a reward for his service. Instead, Secretary of State James G. Blaine offered him the position of Minister Resident and Consul General to the Republic of Haiti, afterward adding Charge d'Affaires of Santo Domingo, the capital of the Dominican Republic, to Douglas's portfolio. Okay. My influence in the opinion of the president, Douglas wrote in accepting the commission, would be the most potent we could send hither for the peace, welfare, and prosperity of that warring and dissatisfied people. The State Department had other plans regarding Douglas's influence, hoping to use it to undermine Haiti's independence while strengthening the U.S. expansion project in the Caribbean. There was precedent for Douglas's appointment. It continued a policy of sending Black ambassadors that began when the U.S. informally and belatedly recognized Haiti and Liberia in 1862. Haiti had been independent since 1804 and Liberia since 1847. Motivated in equal measures by paternalism and cynicism, the United States believed appointing Negro diplomats would grease the commercial and political relations with Negro republics. Even so, when Douglas's appointment was announced, it was greeted with criticism. Black felt the post too small for a man of Douglas's stature and argued he should concentrate on Black struggles within the United States. Meanwhile, many whites believed Douglas's race would cause him to side with the Haitians. They reasoned that a white man should occupy the post, as the Haitian people would have little respect for an ambassador of their own color. Douglas ignored the criticisms on both sides, but from the start, distressing omens surrounded his appointment. Despite his political standing, Douglas's Blackness meant he could not obtain first-class accommodations on his journey from Washington to Haiti. When Douglas refused to travel second class, the federal government ordered naval steamers to take him to Washington to Norfolk and then on to Port-au-Prince. The white captain of one of the steamers to Ossipee refused to eat at the same table as Douglas. Officers of the Kearsarge complained that Douglas and his entourage had driven out the ship's commander from his cabin. Adding to Douglas's discomfort, he was seasick for much of the 11-day passage. Douglas arrived in Haiti in September 1899, just as the new president, Louis Mostyn Louis Hippolyte, I guess, bad at French, sorry,
Hippolyte.
was inaugurated.
Hippolyte? That's Greek.
Hippolyte's ascent to the presidency was contested and controversial. A general who had wrestled control of the Haitian government from President Francois Lange Letime helped to lead a coup against him. Hippolyte's authority was blessed by President Harrison and buttressed by a squadron of U.S. naval vessels conspicuously anchored in Haitian waters. Douglas noted the political tension in the country, the conspicuous presence of soldiers on the streets of Port-au-Prince, the persistence of the curfew, and a chronic fear that the anti-Hippolyte faction might move against the government at any time. But letters to Secretary Blaine also contained a hopeful, positive tone concerning the political prospects of the Republic. Douglas's initial audience with Hippolyte was a generous, elusive affair. At it, Hippolyte told him of how all of Haiti had followed Douglas's career, and that, for Haitians, Douglas represented the moral and intellectual development of the men of the African race by personal effort and mental culture. Douglas's early days in the U.S. legation were long and tedious, and he often returned to the ambassadorial residence well after dusk. He was consumed with attending to both the petty entreaties of the U.S. community in Haiti and with helping U.S. firm broke concessions and contracts with, and in some instances, pressed monetary claims against the Haitian government. William P. Clyde and Company initiated the most significant of these efforts. Clyde and Company was a mercantile business headquartered in New York. Its Clyde line piled a coastline service to a number of Atlantic ports while connecting Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. The company wanted to secure its foothold in the Caribbean by extending business to Haiti and sought to offer steamship service between New York and 7 Haitian ports. Douglas was not fundamentally opposed to the company's ambitions. He saw the increased maritime traffic between Haiti and the United States as a potential boon of the commerce of both countries. But he was put off by the terms Clyde and Company demanded: a reduction of port duties and tonnage fees for the U.S. vessels, a company monopoly on steamship traffic, and a subsidy of $1 million, a figure later reduced by half, from the Haitian government as an incentive to initiate the service. Additionally, Douglas was increasingly disgusted by the dictatorial attitude of Clyde's agent, a South Carolina native who did not bother to conceal his contempt for the Haitians or for Douglas. He demanded Douglas personally intervene with the Haitian government via Joseph Antenor Famine, the great Haitian intellectual and statesman then serving as Secretary of State for Exterior Relations in the Hippolyte government. Famine strongly objected to the concession. He saw it as a drain on the Haitian treasury, especially in light of other claims by U.S. citizens on Haiti's resources and finances. When informed of Famine's position, the agent told Douglas to return to Famine to offer him the assurance that Douglas would not press upon Haiti the payments claims or many other American citizens against the Haitian government, and Clyde received a concession. Douglas was aghast. The proposition shocked me, he later recalled. It sounded like the words of Satan on the mountain, and I thought it was time to call a halt. Douglas slammed the door shut on negotiations, and the thought of the matter settled. Yet the agent persisted. He returned to Douglas with another proposal, one even more shocking than outlandish. It was a demand that the Haitian government pay Clyde and Company for the expenses and Company incurred while waiting for a Haitian government to approve its initial proposal. Douglas responded to the agent with a wry but cutting retort. Then, sir, as they will not allow you to put a hot poker down their backs, you mean to make them pay for heating it? Any thoughts so far on this? It's been
Yeah, I'd love to
a lot.
I mean, I feel like there was, capitalism would save the day again in here.
Right.
By force,
Mhm.
pretty much. I mean, interesting, the whole thing with like him on the vessel being racist as shit in there.
Right.
That's dumb.
Right.
But yeah.
But I mean, just given what we talked about Haiti a couple of weeks ago, it's not much has changed really. It's just
No.
more the idea of like, the US is trying to expand its pull in the Caribbean at this point, especially in the those islands, close to Florida. And then the idea of, like, again, as I said, I feel like Haiti is kind of like in a perpetual hell with the West in terms of like, having to pay for the resources that the US is trying to benefit for their own merit. And Douglas, to his favor, I think tried to intercede that, but obviously given his position, but more importantly, just being a Black person, they were just kind of like, no, you're here, to basically calm essentially the Haitians, obviously you're a Black face, so they're going to trust you more, but we want to use you for, our means, and basically Douglas wasn't having it, which I think is speaks a lot of his character, but I think also just basically being torn between what he saw with the Haitians as far as what we wanted for them, and then like knowing the role that he had to play in terms of, essentially being the proxy of American imperialism at that time. So yeah, not much has changed, folks, since then, I guess. But to continue, Douglas assumed the Haitians would find the proposal ridiculous. I was shocked when they acquiesced to the country's demand and paid Clyde and Company $5,000 in gold. But even after receiving the payment, the agent continued to press the scheme upon the Haitian government. For Douglas, the agent's actions exemplified the callow indifference of U.S. capitalism to the needs of the Haitian Republic and the device of Haitian sovereignty. To him, it was nothing that Haiti was already wasted by repeated revolutions, nothing that she was already staggering under the weight of a heavy national debt, nothing that she herself ought to be the best judge of her ability to pour out $500,000 in this new and, to her, doubtful enterprise, nothing she had heard his arguments in favor of 100 times over, nothing that in her judgment she had far more pressing needs for her money than the proposed investment in this steamship subsidy as recommended by him, nothing that she had told him plainly that she was afraid to add to her pecuniary burdens this new and onerous one, and nothing that she had just paid him $5,000 in gold to get rid of his inopportunities. Douglas' refusal to press the Clyde concession on the Haitian government and his visible indignation towards the agent marked him, as he later put it, an unprofitable servant. For many in the U.S. business community, the incident served notice that Douglas's over-affections for the Haitians compromised his ability to do the bidding of the U.S. business in Haiti. I was, from the time Douglas wrote, more of a Haitian than an American. The U.S. press, encouraged Douglas suspected by Clyde himself, turned on him and clamored to have him removed from the Haitian legation. His masters in Washington began to believe that he could not be trusted. Blaine considered recalling Douglas, but hesitated, worried about the potential political fallout among African Americans. He decided to keep Douglas stationed in Haiti, but he severely undercut Douglas's authority as a representative of the U.S. state, while at the same time thrusting him into a diplomatic imbroglio that for many Americans tarnished the latter days of Douglas's career and blighted his legacy as a statesman. The attempt by the United States to secure a long-term lease of Haiti's Mole Saint-Nicolas. So we're gonna stop there.
Okay.
And like I said, to be continued to next week.
If you just
Overall
want
thoughts.
if you just want to summarize for people that whole thing, because I think like it's a little hard to follow on that, but I mean, essentially they sent Douglas in to try to get a hold of this situation, and then gave him no power to do so.
Well, I think just to get some backtrack, a little bit of history, you know, like Haiti won their independence from France, I believe in 1804.
Okay.
You know, the US kind of came in, you know, well, Haiti was paying France, essentially, you know, for basically kicking their asses, you know. So, and then, so Haiti was already in debt given France, you know. Americans wanted a piece, wanted to basically claim the Caribbean for themselves. They wanted Haiti. Douglas was basically sending, it's like, oh, you're a blackface, you know, make nice with the Haitians, but we're using you for our enterprise, you know, for trade. With the steamship company, Douglas basically saw for the bullshit and was said, fuck no.
Hell no.
And they were like, and then they were like, okay, well, you know, you're useless. So we're going to pull you, realizing that, oh, if we pull him, Black people will not be happy. You know, Black African Americans will see that and they will not be happy. So they put him there, you know, and as we're going to go into next week, to give a brief preview of it, Mole Saint-Nicolas, what became important in terms of trade that they were really looking to cash in on. So, you know, so we'll talk more about that next week. But essentially, this is what it is. The idea that Douglas was essentially there, you know, to make nice with Haitians so that the US can basically, you know, do their trade at the expense of Haiti, which at this time was kind of, you know, still kind of recovering over their revolution from France. And like I said, they were paying France, you know, so they were running low on resources as it is then. The Americans wanted in and wanted to take more resources. And Douglas basically stepped in and was like, no. So
okay,
that's essentially
cool.
The gist of all of that.
I'm betting it doesn't turn out well for Haiti. That's
no.
Okay. Cool.
No, well, given its history, you can probably guess no.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
And that's why, you know, and that's why I wanted to read this again in light of Haiti, because I feel like people would think, especially what's happening right now and what we reported a couple of weeks ago, that, you know, this is a new thing. No, this has been happening for over 200 years. So, you know, so the idea of like, as I said, Haiti's kind of in a perpetual hell. With the rest, they can never catch a break. And, you know, their resources have been exploited to the jump, all simply because, as I said, they kicked France's ass, you know, in terms of wanting independence from themselves. And I think it is just more of a less of a way.
It seems like a whiskey rebellion sort of thing. Do you know about that? Whiskey rebellion? It was like during.
Remind me.
Yeah, I wanted to say it was early in our country's you know, life. But essentially one of the presidents had to march on down to like whiskey country because they didn't want to pay taxes, essentially. And like rounded them all up and dealt with them and like kind of, you know, literally like brought the army down, you know. Like it seems very similar to that in some respects, but like at least they tried to diplomatically deal with it first, you know, but like they weren't really super committed with that, you know. But anyway, I have our next story. You ready?
I'm ready.
Cool. So this happened Monday, I want to say.
Yes, given the dates, yes.
And I don't necessarily have more of her testimony. I think she did do some stuff today. But but I got as much from Monday as I could. So this is an ongoing story. But California First partner Jennifer Sibel Newsom testifies at Harvey Weinstein's rape trial, right? And there's going to be some real interesting twists on this. So, stay in your seats, people. But after I sent this to Tara Reid last night, she sent me some more info, and massively appreciative of that. Because it's a little confusing for people. So, we'll start. So, but yeah, and there is some trigger warning stuff if people are like not comfortable with depictions of sexual assault. I understand. I would like come back in 15-30 minutes, if that's an issue, but just wanted to warn people beforehand. Anyway, to continue, Jennifer Sibel Newsom, the wife of California Governor Gavin Newsom, told a jury Monday about how she met the disgraced movie producer Harvey Weinstein in 2005 when she was an aspiring actress. Newsom, who is one of the women Weinstein is charged with assaulting, took the stand Monday morning in downtown Los Angeles. Although she's one of the 4 victims named only as Jane Doe 1 through 4 in court filings, prosecutors identified her as the wife of the governor in their opening statement. Something kind of happened, and there was this big person coming toward me, and everyone sort of like backed away, Newsom told the jury, recounting the meeting at the Toronto Film Festival. Then Harvey Weinstein introduced himself to me. He was like the kingmaker. He was the top of the industry. So yeah, Newsom said she had little roles, guest starring roles on TV shows and films. At the time of the meeting, she described how she was a bit intimidated and flattered by Weinstein, who she said was charming initially and treated her like he was really curious about her. A while later, back in LA where she lived, Newsom said Weinstein invited her to meet with him at the Peninsula Hotel in Beverly Hills. I assumed it was at the bar where I had been to meetings before, she said. He was interested in helping me with my career and wanted to talk more to me about it and offer advice and support. But when she got to the hotel, she was informed by an assistant that the meeting would be at Weinstein's suite. Newsom told the jury in at times tearful testimony, Weinstein wasn't interested in discussing her projects with her when she was up in his suite, instead disappearing to the bathroom to get more comfortable. Weinstein then called her to the bathroom to help him, she said, and when she got there, he was in a bathrobe touching himself. The producer eventually took her to the bed where he raped her in spite of her attempts to ward him off, Newsom testified. He was just so big and so determined. He was like so aggressive. This was hell, she said. So, yeah, that's fucking awful. The former Hollywood kingpin, who with his brother ran this hugely successful Miramax production and distribution company, was convicted of assault and rape in New York 2 years ago and sentenced to 23 years in prison. That verdict was upheld on appeal this year, but New York's top court has agreed to review it as well. The 2017 exposure of the years of sexual exploitation of women by Weinstein spawned the Me Too movement that prompted many victims to come forward and tell their stories. The victims in the LA trial also didn't contact police until after the movement made it no longer necessary for them to hide their ordeals. Weinstein's lawyer, Mark Worksman, told the jurors in his opening statement that the Me Too movement meant that women previously willing to have sex with Weinstein in exchange for his help advancing their careers now portray themselves as his victims. So that's where this lawyer is going.
Right.
Okay? So Workman referred to the Hollywood casting couch as the accepted norm for decades, whereby men like Weinstein and up-and-coming young women looking to break into the entertainment industry engaged in what he said was consensual transactional sex.
Right.
That's what the defense is going with here. Okay? So let's keep all that in mind while we go into some of the stuff that Tara Reid brought me. So, one of the biggest members of the Me Too movement, Rose McGowan, you know her, right? Charmed star. like firebrand of a woman at this point, who thankfully is still doing well. Surprisingly, they haven't decided to pull any switches on that yet, so please stay safe, Rose, if you're out there. But do you remember when she was talking about backing Larry Elder in that recall? You remember that? Would you like to know why?
Sure.
So, Rose McGowan said she is no longer a Democrat at a press conference in which she endorsed Republican attorney and talk show host running for California Governor Larry Elder, just days after accusing current Governor Gavin Newsom's wife of bribing her in order to suppress her rape allegations against Harvey Weinstein. So this article is from that period of time. Right? So Rose says, so this woman I don't know, some blonde lady, named with the last name of Newsom, cold calls me and was like, David Boys, so remember that name, wants to know what it would take to make you happy. McGowan said she was asked by California First Lady Jennifer Sibel Newsom during a 2017 phone call. So remember, this incident supposedly happened in 2005, right?
Right.
Okay. So, which she says she abruptly ended by hanging up. Her comments were first reported by the Washington Post. I have links to all 3 articles that I'm using here in the link below. I suggest, because I'm not using all these articles, so people should go read them when they have a chance. Boys, the Democratic super lawyer that represented Weinstein. Okay, so he represented Weinstein before this other guy did, right? Reportedly gave Governor Newsom a $300 bottle of wine weeks after leading a campaign against Weinstein's accusers, according to the Washington Free Beacon. So Newsom was working on the Me Too stuff with this, and then after he got that bottle, decided, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For so far. So I finally came to a point, this is Rose talking, where I am not a Democrat because everyone who has harassed, stalked, and stolen from me in my time in Hollywood has been a Democrat, McGowan said on Sunday. So McGowan alleged that Sibel Newsom sent her an email in which she inferred that she was a Weinstein rape victim to get into this private group of Weinstein rape victims, before asking what Boys, Weinstein's attorney, had to do so McGowan wouldn't come forward. In 2017, the former Charmed actress said someone close to Weinstein offered her $1 million if she agreed to sign a non-disclosure agreement. McGowan says she refused the offer. It is unclear if Newsom's wife was the one who made the offer. She then went public with allegations that in 1997, Weinstein assaulted her during the Sundance Film Festival when she was just 23 years old. Recently, McGowan told Dave Rubin on his show The Rubin Report that Newsom's wife, Jennifer Sibel Newsom, called her in 2017 to try to broker a deal between her and Weinstein's attorney, David Boys, to make the story go away. Boys is the powerhouse Democratic attorney who co-founded the law firm Boys, Schiller, Flexner, LLP. So remember those names, alongside Jonathan D. Schiller and Donald Flexner. Okay? So Jennifer Sibel Newsom is the sister of Melissa Sibel Schiller, who is married to Joshua Irwin Schiller, the son of Jonathan D. Schiller, up here, this guy, right?
Right.
Okay. Joshua Schiller is also a practicing lawyer with his father's firm. But wait, there's more. We'll get to him in a minute. So,
oh, God.
This is about 6 months before the New York Times article on Weinstein that I set up broke, McGowan told Rubin, right? So 6 months before the NYT article. So I also want to bring up this. David Boys faces grievance complaint over Epstein case. Okay. A victim of Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring has filed a grievance against her former lawyer, David Boys, alleging he mistreated her while representing her in a civil case against Epstein. Okay. So this guy, while working for Harvey Weinstein, right, was also like the bad dude is what Tara said. Bad dude. There's some stuff with him possibly working with Epstein and photos of him on the island. So So keep that in mind as we move forward. So Rose added, and she called on behalf of a Theranos board member, longtime lawyer of Hillary and Bill Clinton and Weinstein, one David Boies. So this woman, some blonde lady with the last name Newsom, cold calls me and calls me and is like, David Boies wants to know what it would take to make you happy. I don't know if it would be fiscal numeration. I don't know. Absolutely nothing would make me happy. So, of course, the Daily Mail has reached out to Newsom's office and this, that lawyer's office,
Yes,
right? Yep. So here's Rose tweeting about it. Gavin Newsom / Jennifer Sibel's Newsom's brother-in-law is Schiller's son. Boies Schiller law firm loses several attorneys over issues involving Harvey Weinstein, Elizabeth Holmes, founder's kids, right? So, she says, I have the receipts. I wish I didn't. I wish you were all real. I wish you really did help, but you don't, and you're on the side of wrong. Thoughts so far, Collin?
This is a mess.
That's what I said last night. That's what I said. It's a fucking mess. So it was recently reported on Saturday. This is, again, a long time ago. So when like Larry Elder and Newsom were having that recall, right? That the governor and Me Too champion Newsom accepted an extensive bottle of wine from Boies, the lawyer hired to represent Weinstein, and dig up dirt on the women who accused him of sexual assault. Apparently, Tara said the reason he took the one on Epstein was to get like client list and money. Okay. So right. Boies, the Democratic super lawyer, gave Newsom the 300 bottle of wine weeks after Boies led a smear campaign against Weinstein's accusers, according to the Washington Free Beacon. Right. So there's more to this even. Okay. That people that the defense was cross-examining. And I have that from another article we'll look at. But Boies helps run prestigious law firm Boies Schiller Flexner, which also hit the headlines this weekend over a raft of staff departures linked to its work with Weinstein, Theranos founder Elizabeth Smart, and claims of nepotism linked to a co-founder, Jonathan Schiller's 2 sons. Okay, which, yes, nepotism. I think that's very clear. The firm has denied claims of impropriety. While others cut ties with Boies because of his work with the disgraced Hollywood producer, Newsom accepted the pricey gift on December 8th of 2017. More than a month after reports revealed the lawyer worked to discredit Weinstein's alleged victims. Right? And who's his wife again? This guy? The lady that just was on the stand?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's it? Yeah.
Okay. Just to keep everyone up to speed. The gift is set to reignite accusations that Newsom's wife helped Boies try to squash negative stories about Weinstein. Despite McGowan's allegations, Jennifer herself accused Weinstein of behaving inappropriately with her at a film festival years before the allegations against the 69-year-old came to light. I was naive, new to the industry, and didn't know how to deal with his aggressive advances, she penned in the column for the Huffington Post, which also slammed the entire engine of Harvey Weinstein's business and legal machines for working to silence victims. In April, prosecutors in Marin County, California, dropped a domestic violence misdemeanor charge against Joshua Schiller. We're back to that law firm, son. Okay?
Right.
So on the night of January 14th, Joshua Schiller, 40, was arrested for an alleged incident involving him and his wife, Melissa Sibel Schiller. Again, Jennifer Sibel Newsom.
That's
sister. Okay. Sibel Schiller's injuries were described as minor and not requiring medical attention. Joshua Schiller took a months-long leave of absence from the law firm after the arrest. Okay. So keep that in mind. We have her sister, okay, being beaten to some degree in some incident,
right,
by law firm son working with Weinstein,
right,
when her sister is one of the victims, right?
Right.
Okay. So his attorney said at the time that the incident was a misunderstanding. We were clearly pleased, though not surprised by the decision to drop the charge in light of the facts and circumstances, Joshua Schiller's attorney, Douglas Horngrad, told Law.com. McGowan referenced the domestic violence against Schiller as one of the reasons she endorsed Elder. So Jennifer also championed. Go ahead.
Okay, so now it makes sense because now it makes sense.
Right.
Because I feel like I heard this story.
Mm.
You know, now I feel like now I remember hearing the story, on Twitter that Rose like endorsed Elder, and I think people were like, "What the fuck?"
Right.
Like I now remember this.
At least go third party if you're gonna do anything.
Right. Yeah, that's what I think. That's what people were saying. Like, get out of the duopoly. Go for party. Now I remember all of this shit.
But this is now personal.
Didn't know that this was connected to all of this.
Yes. Yeah. This is personal shit.
Right.
So Jennifer also championed the Me Too movement along with her husband, who has claimed to be a dedicated ally. Newsom called it a cultural movement, not a political movement, while campaigning in Sacramento in 2018, though he was at the center of his own sex scandal as mayor of San Francisco. Guilfoyle went on to become a Fox News host and is now in a relationship with Donald Trump Jr. That's another person connected to this law firm. So Newsom said of the affair in Sacramento, "I acknowledged it. I apologized for it. I learned an enormous amount from it. We are very open and honest about it. And am I, every day, trying to be a champion and a model." So this is Newsom, who had an affair with this wife. Right? So, when asked by Martinez, who's another lawyer in this case, I think, why she continued to correspond via email with Weinstein even after the alleged rape, Sibel Newsom said she felt what happened was a one-off thing and that Weinstein had gotten married. "I tried to put what happened into a box, even though it came out at times," she said, "and my sadness and my fear changed at times into anger." So Sibel Newsom was also asked about an email she sent to Weinstein in 2007. Okay. And when she sought his advice when Newsom was mayor of San Francisco. In a prior ruling, Judge Lisa Lynch granted prosecutors permission to use the email, which mentions an affair Newsom had in 2005 with an aide. "I believe that Harvey Weinstein had relationships with the press and understood how to handle the press and thought he could be helpful," Sibel Newsom said when she asked about the email on Monday. So during a 15-minute cross-examination, defense attorney Mark Worksman hammered Sibel Newsom about a $500 campaign contribution Weinstein made to her husband's campaign. So $500 and that bottle of wine. Okay. Sibel Newsom said her husband's staff had asked for the donation at her suggestion, but that the money was returned after the Me Too movement. "When did you tell Gavin Newsom about his allegations of sexual assault?" Worksman asked. "I told him that Harvey was sketchy at different times, and he picked up on it himself when he met him," she replied. During his opening statement, Worksman made a dig at Sibel Newsom, saying, "Today, she is the wife of Governor Newsom. She's the first partner of California. She made herself a prominent victim in the Me Too movement. Otherwise, she'd be just another bimbo who slept with Harvey Weinstein to get ahead in Hollywood." Sibel Newsom will continue her testimony on Tuesday. Yeah.
A mess.
Men are gross. God. Like,
well, Nick called it. It's Holly weird.
Yes.
Exactly this.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But it's this whole, like, you worked for the guy that, to me, it's, were you, like, how were you manipulated to?
Right. That's what it is. It's like, and I want to be very fair, and especially to women who have gone through this, or men, like, she was a victim, so essentially just being like, being forced probably by Weinstein to do whatever he wanted, in fear of fill in the blank. Could
or
be
retaliation,
her life, could be her
or
career,
right,
or her career, or whatever else.
Yeah.
So there are no good characters here,
No.
you know. But as I said, now it makes sense, like why Rose was like, I'm voting for Larry Elder, because now, as you said, I remembered this. Because that was a huge thing back. It had to be like 2018, 2019
Yeah.
when she made that call. And I remember kind of, especially given the Me Too movement was so huge, and Rose McGowan was such a huge voice out of that, you know, like, and she kind of came off as like this progressive woman, you know, and like calling out the establishment, which everyone was like, yeah. And then she did this, and people were like, what the fuck are you doing? You know, like I remember that. But now it makes sense that this was connected to Weinstein. Probably at the time she couldn't necessarily talk about it until now.
Yeah.
Or at least we have a little bit more information now that we're able to put more dots together to kind of figure out, oh, that's why. You know,
Or
like I said,
it may not be. I mean, this is the thing, is that there's a lot of connections being rolled around this with Epstein, with, you know, whatever. As Killian put, there's more to unpack on that story than Collin has behind him. You know. So, yeah, dude, like
that was good.
there's some weirdness all over that, you know. So I wish I knew, like, I mean, like, but like Rose could never trust you again, like, at all.
Right.
Like, even if it was your story is real, which is very possible, you know, for you to then go and antagonize her to try to get her to stay quiet so that you don't have to deal with this. That's what it sounds like. It's like you didn't want to deal with this because you had already been out of it, you know? So yeah, that's, anyway, I'll keep some eyeballs on that story and see what happens.
Yeah, we definitely want to follow that. But yeah, that's just 1, disgusting, 2, a mess, 3, you know, it's good that all of this is coming to light and people are now, there's a lot more to it that people are able to make more connections to. And but as I said, there's no good actors here, which is very sad, very unfortunate, very sad, and gross. At the same time.
I agree. You ready for our next one?
Yeah. So you guys have been waiting for this. I will preface by saying this will be the first, last, and only time I want to talk about this. I've had enough. I'm done with this, honestly. I was going to talk about it in one way leading up to maybe 3 hours ago, I guess now. And I want to bring it to in another track, and it will make sense why. And I think it has to do with a lot of why I'm in the space, and more specifically IINN, and more specifically, you know, with Indy and Reef in particular. So yeah. So for those who do not know, I'm sure all of you know, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So last week, federal judge blocked the student loan debt forgiveness. I think that was reported on Thursday. I did not hear about it until Friday. What happened?
You're good. There it goes.
Okay. All right. So, Mike Figueredo, friend of the show, just kidding, tweeted out, wait, I can't see the screen though. There we go. So Mike Figueredo posted on, I believe this had to be Thursday, this tweet. So he said, so it's over, we're just fucked. Okay. So actually, no, he posted this on Friday. last Friday. So I posted,
You good?
what happened?
I think you might have went the
Has it
wrong
keep
way.
going?
There you go.
No, I pressed the right one. That's, I guess that this is what happens with this.
Yeah.
So I responded back, we told you this would happen. Now, I posted this not thinking, like he's a big YouTuber.
You're
So
not thinking he'd respond.
I didn't think he would respond. Like he only responded to one other tweet regarding Nina Turner, but this was back at the beginning of 2021. So I have no connection with Mike in any way other than like Twitter, and that one occasion where he actually did respond to me in regards to something Nina said regarding the spot, where I clipped a part of his interview that he did with her, basically where she said, you're going to be disappointed in me, so I sent him that in connection to something that he was talking about, and then he responded back, but that's it. So I posted that Friday, and then Sabby underneath me said, we sure did. Okay. So this was on Friday, didn't think anything of it. And it got a lot of likes to the point where he started to get ratio. So and keep in mind, my phone was blowing up since Friday. Saturday, didn't think anything of this, saw that he tweeted, you dipshits know Biden isn't the one who struck down his own student debt relief, right? It was a Trump-appointed judge. So he tweeted this to me the next day. So we tweeted him Friday. He responded to me and Sabby on Saturday. And I was like, what the fuck? First of all, like, I didn't say anything that wasn't public knowledge. And I'll get more into that in a minute. But the idea that he just out of the blue just called me and Sabby dipshits was just kind of like, what the fuck? Now, I could have responded in kind, but instead, being a gentleman, I was like, sir, please watch this clip from Breonna Joy Gray, and you tell us how Joe Biden is not at fault for this. This is exactly what Sabby has been talking about, white progressives talking down to Black people. Sabby has been talking a lot about this in regards to how these microaggressions of white creators in this space, especially in independent media, talking down to Black, activists / commentators in regards to information that is out, for the public. So this is what I was referring to. And then I clipped Breonna Joy Gray's episode of Bad Faith, where she talks with Judge Schugerman about this. And I remember this video specifically because I remember watching it, or actually listening to it back in September on my way to work. And after listening to it, because obviously by then, this was after Joe Biden passed, well, not passed, but he made the executive order to cancel some type of student debt. So then, obviously knowing how our government works, I was cautiously optimistic about the idea because potentially, like I would have the rest of my loans paid off.
Right.
So obviously, I had everything to gain from this, but also, as I said, given how things have gone, I was just kind of like, I've talked to people on Twitter who were like, well, aren't you happy that Biden is clearing your loans? And I said to people, like, I'll believe it when I see it. If Biden does it and I see it in terms of my loans, then I'll give him credit.
Right.
But then I remember listening to this whole clip, and I posted it in the description for people who haven't seen it yet. I would definitely recommend it. It's about half an hour, but I definitely recommend, if you haven't seen it, to listen to it because they go into depth as to why this was destined to fail. And I'm sure if you were listening to Sabby yesterday on Jimmy Dore, or Kit, who talked about it on Monday, you'll know the specifics as to why. But I remember listening to it back then. I was just like, shit, like, this is probably not going to work. But I didn't say anything, you know, and then this struck down on Thursday. So then hence when Mike tweeted that out, I was just kind of like, dude, the information was out there. You should have known about it. And I actually continued in the tweet. The information has been out there regarding student loan forgiveness since September, and you failed to do your research. But instead, you punched down on Black podcasters who knew the information because it doesn't fit your narrative of GOB bad. This is why the left is in shambles. So that's what I said to Mike on Saturday. Then Mike responded back, I heavily criticized Biden's implementation and means testing of this plan. You're not privy to insider knowledge and no one else has, LOL. But you're using this as an opportunity to punch left and virtue signal rather than criticize the Trump-appointed judge who killed it.
Punch left. Punching left. If we're punching Biden, we are not punching left, first of all.
Right. Which I actually did say. The last I checked, Biden is and never has been left, quote unquote. You know, but going back to that, two things in this. One, he says, you're not privy to insider knowledge no one else has. First of all, yes, I am.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I am. Secondly, I knew the information. And if I knew the information, then you for sure definitely knew the information. So why is it that you did not share that information with your audience? Number one. Number two, I am trying to move you to the left because you immediately went and blamed the federal judge. And we're going to go into that because there's some shit that, again, if Mike did his research, would have told you all, that would have made the connection that, you know, the Democrats basically set this up to fail, not just with Biden, but we'll get more into that later. Since, you know, Mike was quick to kind of say that, you know, like, I didn't know, I'm not privy to the information. So this was just kind of classist and using like his education to kind of talk down to me, like, because I know he has a PhD in poli-sci, and he was kind of, I just felt like he was being very classist, high-key racist, and then just being like, oh, what the fuck do you know? Like, I just felt like he felt like, oh, you some lackey podcast. I actually been called a lackey podcaster several times among certain groups. So I was kind of used to that, but the fact that like this bigger YouTuber just kind of called me out like that was just kind of like, okay, sure. But yeah, I continued. I said,
how about that?
Yeah, basically. So then I continue, I think, I'm just trying to see. Then I said, and way to talk down to Sabby. Instead of addressing us properly, you call us dipshits, and you use your education and privilege in this space to talk down to Sabby and I. We're both college educated with grad school education degrees and know what we are doing. So that's what I responded back. I continued, I hope your audience sees this and how you use your status to talk down to us instead of engaging us properly. We are deserving of respect in the same way you want respect from others. So honestly, you know, like I could have just gone off and kind of used all kind of names, but as you kind of saw, like I was very diplomatic. I sent the tweet, I sent in the video, I gave the explanation as to why he was wrong, you know, but then he goes on. I go on actually. So, you know, I'm sure a lot of you did not necessarily see all of this, but I want to be transparent just to see what, you know, I was saying to him back and forth. But I said, Humanist report, maybe if you left your echo chamber every once in a while and listened to other podcasters, you may have known that Brianna Joy Gray spoke about this with Jack Schugerman back in September, but instead you choose to simp POTUS. Okay. And then this kind of went on forever. And actually, there was more tweets that he tweeted that I didn't know until after the fact. But then he tweeted back, You came into my mentions being condescending in all caps, suggesting I'm naive because you told me this would happen, only to accuse me of talking down to you by responding rudely after you came at me first. If it makes you feel any better, I was more rude to Rob Schneider.
It
And
doesn't.
then he goes in with, like, first of all, like, if you were bothered by me in all caps saying, I told you this would happen, like, I've been called a lot worse for people typing properly, you know, and
Yeah.
if you were really bothered by that, like,
He thought this
like
was gonna
you're-
be an easy dunk. He thought like you weren't somebody to mess with, and turns out,
right,
you
right.
know,
And then like,
don't talk
and
down to
every
people.
tweet, right, and every tweet that I responded to him got ratioed to high heaven. So he wasn't doing well at
Yeah.
all. And you know, that was kind of the thing that amazed me about this on Twitter, because I figured I was going, you know, this because I was talking to you about this all weekend, because I was like, I thought I was going to get severely trolled. I thought that people were just going to come at me, you know, whatever else, and basically being like, you're a bitch, you whatever, this and that and the other. And every person that, you know, that messaged me, DM'd me, were like, what the fuck does this guy think he is? You read him right, you know, like every single person did, you know? So, you know, but I think he saw that, and he saw that he was losing, you know, and people were seeing through the fuck shit, that he figured that he had to come at me in this way.
Yeah.
Anyway, to hammer it home, I was like, again, the information that was out there and has been reported on by Breland and others since September, that's not on me if you weren't aware of the information. If I knew it, that's no excuse why you didn't know.
Yeah.
So again, so I think he sent this a lot later, but then by then, you know, like Jimmy got into this, like he was inserted into this. And then later on, I think I got this, like, I think this was probably on Sunday, I think, that he was like, for additional context, he's attacking me, Jimmy, because I called his friends dipshits after they tried to dunk on me for not attacking Biden for striking down his own student debt plan. They're alleging the dipshit issue is a mask-off racist movement. Continued.
Fuck you.
Jimmy joined in because after I figured out they're his buds, I called them out for it. I basically stopped engaging with them. By that, he blocked me, so I didn't see this. After realizing that these were bad faith, Dewar-adjacent propagandists for the GOP. But now I've been fully exposed, and I am also pro-war too. It's all dumb. So, first of all, you guys know me. You guys know me on Twitter. When have I ever gone to bat for the GOP? Never. I've never gone to bat for the GOP here. So the fact that he was calling me GOP adjacent because of Jimmy Dore, I think it was just laughable. But then, like, I've never met Jimmy Dore. Like, I've been to a show of his last year. I haven't, he only followed me on Twitter. Like, he followed me organically on Twitter, like, last year. Like, even before, like, the Capitol Steps thing where the what about the 10% thing, you know, became like a meme essentially and became like trending, that Jimmy, I think, kind of knew who I was. But he was following me way before that, I think, just from a good tweet that he happened to like and followed me for. But I've never met the man in person. I've never talked to him in person. So the fact that he did a reach to be
What?
So the fact that he made a reach and seemed like, oh, I'm his friend, you know, just because he probably liked my tweets, you know, it's, you know, it's laughable at best. So, but yeah, as I said, I didn't know about this till after the fact because he blocked me, which, by the way, like, you really think
I mean, he
like blocking people doesn't do shit, because I can still find out like what you say. You know, so
incognito mode, Twitter. I don't even have to log in, friend. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
So anyway, we're gonna go off on him a little bit.
Dooby.
All right.
It's the
All right.
motherfucking Sabby Seb show.
All right. I'm going to do the work that Mike should have done. All right. So first thing, and shout out to Sabby, because I actually said there's information that finding out in that thread that if Mike did his due diligence, he would have known. So,
and she didn't even hit all of it. She didn't even hit all of it yet. There's more.
So, yeah. So first strike, which I actually didn't know. Actually, I kind of knew it, but Sabby and Jimmy revealed this. Today's Wednesday, on Monday.
Yeah.
When Sabby went on. So listen to what Sabby says regarding the student loan debt. Block it.
I think what some people may not be aware of is actually February of last year, Ayanna Pressley, Elizabeth Warren, and Chuck Schumer actually presented this proposal to Joe Biden. And what they asked him to do was to cancel up to $50K. Now, obviously, I thought it should have been all of it, but they asked him to do this through the Higher Education Act of 1965. So for people who are coming to me now saying that, oh, you can't believe that Joe Biden would have done this on purpose. Yeah, I do. Because he knew that he was supposed to do it this way. And so the method that he chose, doing it through the HEROES Act, that is actually why we're in the situation that we're in right now. So if people actually would have been paying attention to what was happening last year and the proposal that was made, the original proposal, Joe Biden knew that he was supposed to do it through the Higher Education Act, and he chose
not to.
Chose not to. So basically,
emotional damage.
So my screen went black again. So
again,
yeah,
why?
I might be able to do it. Let me see.
We have our first guest. We have a special guest. It's Sabby Sabs.
Oh no,
friend of the show. She's a boss.
Is the same one? I got it.
Yeah. So move forward.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't see again.
Okay.
So I can go. I can probably maybe explain it as
Here,
best
hold
as
on.
I can.
Let's do this real quick. Go to the recording room in Discord. We might just do it there. Zoom's having trouble. Un momento, por favor. I have to like make this viewable. Turn your camera on.
Okay.
Yep. And then that.
All right.
And hold on, I have to like close out of Zoom.
Do I have to stay in Zoom?
You don't have to.
Okay, there's just a weird echo though.
Yeah, that's because you're in Zoom still.
Okay. Oh, there we go. All right.
Yeah.
So
just turn on your camera so you're not just brown.
Oh. Because I almost never turn on my camera in Discord.
Oh, why? Hold on.
Should come on in a second.
It should, but now I have to like. It decided to put you on the left when it did that. Hold on. Hold on. I need to go to studio mode again, and then go down to Zoom 2-person first cam, and turn that on, and turn off my feed, and see if that fixes it.
No.
Yes. We're getting there. We're getting there. Where's that from? Don't know.
That works. It said I'm Reef.
Yes. And I can fix that too. Yep. Except that should be cam feed, and this one should be here. Why? Okay. So does that work now? Yes.
No.
Cool.
So there we go. Oh.
Cool. Ding ding.
Okay. Except wait. Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, so what was Sabby talking about? After all of that. So this is what. So this is Warren's newsletter that I managed to obtain. This was written in February of last year. So Warren, Schumer, Presley, colleagues, President Biden can and should use executive action to cancel up to $50,000 in federal student loan debt immediately. At 11 a.m. today, Senator Warren, Leader Schumer, and Representative Presley, Alma Adams, Ilhan Omar, Amanda Jones will hold a press conference reintroducing their resolution. The event will stream live here. So it continues. United States Senator Elizabeth Warren and Senator Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley led their colleagues in reintroducing the bicameral resolution outlining a whole plan for President Biden to tackle the student loan debt crisis by using existing authority under the Higher Education Act to cancel up to $50,000 in student loan debt for federal student loan borrowers. The resolution calls on the president to use executive authority to cancel student loan debt and ensure there's no tax liability for president's student loan borrowers resulting from administrative debt cancellation. So basically, Warren and company approached Biden to use the Federal Education Act since the beginning of last year to cancel up to $50,000. Now, one thing I'm kind of like, why didn't they choose to push for all of it? Number one.
Right.
But even with that, like, and this is what I said about Elizabeth Warren before, like regarding, because she kind of did this with like her Medicare for All plan. Like she kind of did just enough to make it center, but she didn't necessarily go all the way. If anything, if this were me, I would have said like at minimum $50,000. But instead here, they were like up to. So
Okay.
remember that because Senator Warren knew and wanted him to use the Higher Education Act, which he didn't. Fast forward to this weekend.
Yeah.
When she was on Meet the Press with Chuck Todd. And he asked her about this and listen to what she says. So if you want to play that clip.
Yes, I can. Where's my mouse? There it is.
I want to talk about the president's student loan forgiveness program, which the courts are potentially going to say he can't do, saying, look, this needs to be appropriated from Congress. Okay, this is something you could do in the lame duck. Should you wait for this court outcome or simply codify the president's student loan plan via Congress?
So look, I'd be delighted to codify what the president is doing, but here's the key. I don't have any doubt that the president has the legal authority to cancel this student loan debt. President Trump did it, President Obama did it, and President Biden has actually done it up to now on student loan debt payments. But we have a court down in Texas, and if they're going to play politics instead of actually following the law, they do put the program at risk. But to me, this is one of the clearest differences between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats, led by Joe Biden, are out there saying, we hear you on what it's like to get crushed by student loan debt. We know what that means, and so we're here to try to help. The Republicans, they got nothing. They say, no, the only people that they're willing to fight for are billionaires and billionaire corporations and conspiracy theorists. Yeah. Democrats fight for working people, and when we fight for working people, we.
So she's basically said at the end, we win. So notice how she mentioned nothing about the Higher Education Act. Notice how she went to blame this judge, you know? So she went from, and to Chuck's disfavor, why didn't he ask her about this memo or newsletter that she did? And Mike, if you knew this, why didn't you say it to your audience? So again, so that's what Sabby kind of revealed, which I didn't even know. Yes, and up until like Monday. So strike one, Mike. Strike two. This was in, and I can't take any credit for this. And I was actually looking at that feed where Mike was calling me a shitlib and whatnot. This tweet came from hashtag Dr. Fishbones.
Yeah.
And he or she said, Chuck Schumer fast-tracked those judges.
Yes.
What do you mean by that? There's this Vox article written in 2018. Schumer's deal to fast-track Trump judges makes progressive activists furious. It is hard to think of a more pathetic surrender heading into the Kavanaugh hearings. So it continues.
You got it? You want me to click?
You have to.
Okay.
A sudden deal made by Senator Minority Leader Chuck Schumer on a set of judicial nominees has made Democratic activists livid. With Brett Kavanaugh's Supreme Court confirmation hearing looming next week, Schumer reached an agreement late Tuesday with Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to fast-track the confirmations of 15 Trump-nominated judicial picks. Several federal district court judges were confirmed that day, and 8 were put on the docket for confirmation next week. A Senate Democratic aide said that the majority of the nominees greenlit as part of this deal were uncontroversial anyway, and emphasizes that Schumer's efforts enabled Democrats to hit the Penn train trail, giving red state Democrats a few extra days in their home states before coming back for Senator John McCain's memorial services this week. But Democratic activists aren't buying it, and many were concerned that this move showed weakness, especially going into a high-stakes Kavanaugh hearing. Mitch McConnell is in the middle of stealing the federal courts for conservatives, and Democrats continue to bring a butter knife to a gunfight, said Brian Fallon, the head of activist group Demand Justice, which is leading opposition efforts against Kavanaugh in a statement. Democrats should be resisting Trump judges' picks at every turn, not agreeing to fast-track them, as happened this week. It is hard to think of a more pathetic surrender heading into the Kavanaugh hearings. As Vox's Emily Stewart writes, a running tally by Bloomberg shows that McConnell has already confirmed 60 judges, including 33 district court judges, 26 appeal court judges, and Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch. Earlier this year, the Trump administration was already far outpacing the number of Obama administration was able to confirm at the same point of his presidency.
Jesus Christ.
And unlike the Supreme Court nomination, for which Democrats have very limited procedural levers to block Kavanaugh, there are options available for lawmakers to stymie some of the lower court nominees, even if these tactics aren't guaranteed to work. Schumer's willingness to give Republicans somewhat see as a free hall pass was downright confusing to many activists, especially given McConnell's no-holds-barred approach to stalling Obama administration picks. Schumer seems to be thinking about protecting his red state Democrat colleagues, but it's a complete mismatch with the party's base, which is frustrated over Republicans' ability to remake the courts in recent years and wants Democrats to fight back. If Democrats fought at every step to play what few cards they have as a minority caucus, they could reduce the judges' date that get confirmed, MoveOn Washington Director Bill Wilker said. McConnell is using every weapon in his disposal, and Democrats aren't fighting back equally. So, 2 things. Warren goes to bat for Biden by blaming this judge. Schumer collaborated with the Turtle to fast track many of these judges.
Yes.
Mike, strike
including
2.
The ones that killed this bill.
Right. And there's a little bit more to this.
Okay.
In case you didn't know. So
but wait, there's more.
Wait, there's way more.
Okay.
Again, in that thread. Now, it's funny how it's like Mike should have known this, Mr. Poli-Sci PhD. You should have known this and confirmed this with your audience.
Yeah.
But yet some random, not even me, I can't even take credit for this, random people from Twitter who probably don't have the kind of education Mike has was able to pull this.
Yeah,
so
fuck you, Mike.
This is from Ostracized Chicano, also in that thread.
Mm.
And a appointee where 3 Democrats voted to confirm while others casted a didn't vote. If you can't even whip some party members to stop voting against their party's agenda, what's in a snowball hell in chance you believe a means-tested program was legit? what did this person mean by this?
Yeah.
There's a link to the Senate.gov website. So if you go to the next slide.
Kyoto, wait.
So this is what it led to. So this is the United States Senate. Okay. So basically, this was the nomination for Mark Pittman. This was the stupid judge that blocked student loan debt. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So if you look at it, so the vote date was in July 31st, 2019. So this was during Trump presidency. Okay?
Yeah.
So these votes were made in the Senate. So the vote counts, 54 said yay, 36 said nay, and 10 didn't vote.
10 didn't vote?
So 10 didn't vote. We'll get to that.
Why wouldn't you vote for? Okay.
We'll get to that because there's some surprising shit.
Okay.
That there's probably a reason why Mike, if he knew this, did not say shit.
Yep.
So if you go to the next slide. So I had to take this in and circle it. But most of those who voted yes were obviously Republicans, except 3. Take a look at those names.
These names right here?
Is that familiar?
Those are familiar.
I think Jones is in Doug Jones, I believe, from Alabama. But of course, our 2 friends, Manchin and Sinema, way before they were known as the rotating villains, voted yes for this judge. But yeah, it gets even better. Look at the non-voting list. Take a look at some of those names. Cory Booker, Chris Coons, Kristen Gillibrand, Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren did not vote for this judge.
Emotional damage.
That's probably why Liz Warren didn't say shit when she was talking to Todd, because she did not vote for this judge. And now look what happened. Now, would Mike tell you this shit?
No.
So, Mike, as I said,
step up your game.
I cannot take credit for this. Twitter did this. And you didn't fucking do your job. And yet you're calling me and Sabby a dipshit because we were right. And Brianna brought receipts, and I brought you even more. Right? But I pulled out this quote from Ronald Reagan, because I think this will kind of fit into my point.
Okay.
He said, "I'm sure we get exacerbated now and then with each other, but that's just a fiction of freedom. You know, when I first got to Washington, I tried to establish a relationship with Tip O'Neill, and we were doing pretty well. And then one day I picked out the paper and read something that really prompted me to call him. And I said, Tip, I thought we had a good relationship going. And then I read this news story. And Tip said, well, old buddy, that's just politics. After 6 o'clock, we're friends. I started wearing a watch that was permanently set at 6. I'll start wearing that watch again if you do the same." So basically, all that to say is, this is just a show.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're cool. You know? So look at these motherfuckers. You know? So, Mike, it wasn't a federal judge that blocked it. Yes, that's true. But you failed to tell your audience that Schumer fast-tracked these judges. You failed to tell that Elizabeth Warren basically told Biden to use the Federal Education Act to cancel student loan debt. And you didn't. And Warren didn't say anything, and instead went to bat for Biden and talked about this judge, knowing that she didn't vote for him. She made a no vote. And then this judge, as I said, 3 Democrats voted for him. And she, among others, including Bernie Sanders, didn't vote. Any thoughts you got, Reef?
I mean, to me, the biggest part of this is just the hypocrisy. Like, it's talk shit till they get hit, and then once they get hit, they play a victim here. Like, to me, that's like, and it's not like your thing was that crazy. Like, he got upset over nothing. It was like, hey, we told you so. Like, that's just pretty much what it was. You can't take that on. And he was so upset, he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about.
I got all triggered because I used all caps. What
Yes.
the fuck? Like I
Yeah, I
said,
know.
I've been called a lot worse on Twitter when people type normally.
Well, look, he's scared of black men yelling at him. All right? It's just the way it works. Like, ugh.
Look, here's the thing, guys. I honestly thought I was going to be like a dragon, and I warned Reef beforehand I might. I'm not going to tonight because I feel like, the energy, the anger, and I was sharing with him and others, with Indy, I went through waves of anger, over the last few days. Every time I thought about it, I just got angry. And I wanted to talk about this in terms of race, but I'm not going to do that. I think I said my piece on JB. Again, if you didn't see that interview I did with him on Saturday night, you can find it in the link before. I think that was a great stream. I got out all my anger there. But I'm going to take this in another direction. So this is going to be more vulnerable for me on this show. But I think it's important because this is why I'm a part of INN, and this is what I believe in INN. I tweeted this tweet out earlier today. So if you look at it at the bottom, Chancellor Farabee, who is our superintendent for DC Public Schools, and if you know, I'm a teacher. So he tweeted out yesterday, surprised to see this planned protest, given that we and the Washington Teachers Union had already planned to resume contract negotiations tomorrow and are scheduled to do so. So tomorrow, there's a day of action for teachers, public school teachers in the district. I tweeted, if you go up, the nerve of Twitter folks who ask me what I'm doing to promote change. This is one of them. I am a public school teacher. I am a worker. I am labor. I haven't received a pay raise in 3 years. Timing of protests aside, I will participate because I practice what I preach. What do I mean by that? We talk a lot on this show, and we talk a lot about on INN about direct action, and I know other channels do too. And for me, I feel like I would be a hypocrite if I encourage you guys to go for direct action in light of the fuckery that you're already seeing within our government. And I tell you to do all of that, and I'm not doing it myself. Now, for me, as a teacher, and I have issues with my union, I feel that this protest that they're doing is done way too late when teachers have no leverage. Our mayor was reelected last week. So really, she and the chancellor are going in these negotiations. They have no reason to work in good faith to give teachers what they need. So I blame the union, and shout out to Indy and Reef, who have shown me, in light of being part of this network, they showed me articles that they've read on how did they miss that, about how teachers are legally striking to meet their needs. I didn't know that was possible until one article in particular, Indy sent to me directly, and he said, you should read this. And when I read that, like, I realized that I'm selling myself short as a teacher, that I just believed that we had to kind of follow along with what the union told us to do. And then I realized I didn't have to. That, especially now, given that we're out of contract, that we have a reason to push back. And my take on it, like regarding my union, is that we should have made that demand and should have pushed for direct action so that the mayor would take notice way before last week. Regardless, I don't agree with the timing, as I said, but tomorrow afternoon after work, I want to protest in front of my school. And I have to do that because I haven't got a pay raise in 3 years. And we've been working in the midst of a pandemic in light of all the political turmoil, in light of COVID and openings and people getting sick and people getting worried, you know, and not to say it's been perfect, but teachers have tried their best to ensure that we're keeping ourselves safe and we're making sure that our students are safe and that they were learning under the best conditions that we could have made given the circumstances. And I am protesting tomorrow. Mike, wherever he is, has probably never gone to a protest before. He doesn't have to. Because at the end of the day, he doesn't have to worry about, you know, not getting paid. He doesn't have to worry necessarily about his student loans. And I get the anger, Mike, because that affects me too. But the difference is you make enough money where you're able to handle it. Your audience, some of them may not be able to. And given that loans are supposed to restart in a couple of months, your audience may have to make decisions as to how they're going to pay back their student loans when they don't have the money, when they may be in situations like me where they haven't gotten paid or haven't gotten paid enough, and in the midst of inflation trying to figure out how they're going to eat, how they're going to put a roof over their head, how they're going to get their bills paid, how they're going to take care of themselves in an emergency. That's what your audience is worried about, Mike. And if you did your due diligence, you would have told them the information that I just kind of revealed to you and what Bree kind of had out in the media space, and what Sabby and I were trying to tell you, that this is not about Republicans, because we know Republicans ain't shit. The issue is that Democrats set this up so that they failed on purpose. But instead you attacked me because I called you out on your shit. And you know what, Mike? In spite of that, I'm fine with that. Because if I'm getting called a dipshit just because I called you out, then fine. I actually changed my bio, alleged dipshit. But you know what, tomorrow, I have to work not just for me, but for my colleagues to make sure that we get our needs met. I have to do that shit. And I accept that because that's my job. You don't have to do that. Crystal doesn't have to do that. Kyle doesn't have to do that. And funny enough, I was watching Breaking Points, Kyle, because I don't really watch them like that anymore, but I wanted to see if they had said anything about the student loan blah. And you can correct me in fam if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, they haven't said shit. Probably because they know that they went to cap for Biden prematurely. And now they can't say anything given what happened. But you know what? They're rich. So they're not affected in the way that I'm affected or the way that you guys might be affected. I wanted to share this because we got a lot of work to do. Like, they say that Gen Z was the one that helped to push the Democrats into somewhat in a, I wouldn't say good situation, but, you know, like helped, you know, at minimum to hold the Senate. Like, you guys should be furious. You guys should be protesting right now. Hell, I live in DC. Organize it. Like, if someone organizes it, I'll be there. I have the means to do it because I live right here. I'm shocked there is not more, actually not that shocked, but I am shocked that there is not more outrage in regards to what Biden has done. And not just Biden, all of government, including the squad. So you know what, Mike? Fine. You can call me a shitlib if you want to. But I am proud to be a part of this network where I'm learning how to give the best information out to our audience. And so that we can be more prepared to do the shit that I say that we need to do. And like I said, I wouldn't have told you that story. I wouldn't say to push for direct action if I'm not doing it myself. That would be a hypocritical of me to do that. That's all I'm going to say in regards to all of that.
Please clap.
But yeah, if you continue moving the slides, Reef.
Yes, sir.
I don't sit at home or in a studio commenting on the news. The issues that few independent media commentators may choose to talk about, I live out every day. There is no way I can talk about direct action to my audience if I don't participate in these actions myself. Next one. So before you critique me and ask me what I'm doing besides being on YouTube, because I got in some of that shit too, like I got some people who are like, well, what the fuck do you do? You should ask your fave commentator what they are doing. Most of them will not do what I'm doing. I have to out of necessity given my career. That being said, I'm willing to do this if it gives me a base to speak out and encourage others to do the same. And to conclude, I want to end on a good note because we talk about how like some of these stories are shitty. And at least in the midst of all the fuckery, as I said earlier, I am so grateful for you guys for coming to my defense and Sabby's defense over the weekend. And this was the first time that I ever got into a huge spat with someone online like this. And I was literally afraid of what people would say to me in light of what Mike said to me. And to my surprise, and actually to, you know, my sanity, every one of you said, thank you, Collin. You're doing a good job. Call him out. You're right. I didn't get trolled at all, which I find amazing. And so, but I know a lot of that has to do with this community. And I want to thank my INN family for having my back as well. But yeah, all I gotta say is we got a fuckload of work to do, especially given the next couple of years. That's just gonna be like Trump, 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 Trump. And what Reef and I try to do is we want to give you stories. Obviously, we have to talk about some of the drama shit. Like, that's a given. You know, we have to work the algorithm in some way. But at the same time, we want to try and collect stories that empower you, that inspire you. And we want to give you as much information as we feasibly can gather. We're not going to do what Mike did. We're not going to withhold information from you. you are privy to the information that we know or find out. And that's what we want to share with you. I'm not going to withhold any.
I'm not looking to start shit online. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm trying to avoid conflict as much as possible. Like, we have enough of that.
Right.
Like,
and right now, in light of everything, there's a lot of fracturing on the left. And we need to get it together in terms of, you know, working in solidarity with each other. And I'm not saying that I'm personally at the best at that because I get angry. You know, we all do. But at the same time, I realize my role here in terms of, as I said, I don't want to be a hypocrite and kind of say to you guys to do these things if I'm not doing it myself. Because I'm right there with many of you all. Like, I talk about certain aspects of my life because I want to show that I'm not just some rich YouTuber who's sitting, like, I'm in, like, my apartment, as you joke about it, like, it's unpacked right now, you know, like, but I go for real issues too. And I'm very aware of that when I come here. And honestly, I feel ill-equipped to be here sometimes, many times. I tell this to Reef all the time. You know, I feel like I have imposter syndrome a lot of the time that I'm on here. But I thank you guys for the love that you've given me. I thank you guys for your trust in me. And that is what I'm going to carry in terms of being here and being on this show, that I want to make sure that I'm doing the best job I can to help you guys be as informed as possible so that you're able to make the best decisions in terms of what you need to do in your own lives, whatever that may be for you. And that's all I'm going to say on the matter. And like I said, I'm not talking about this situation again. If you want to know more, as I said, you can watch JB stream, you can watch Kit stream, you can watch Jimmy Dore stream. If you want to replay this, you can. But like I said, that's it. We're done.
We're done. You're done. God. No, I'm with you, man. Fuck that shit. Anyway, meanwhile, in the world of capitalists, people might recognize these three letters right now. They're kind of everywhere. And I wanted to showcase, there's a stream that Convo Couch did with Tar Reed where they talked about this, probably far better than we're going to. That's like long form and stuff. People should go watch that as well. But this is done by Craig Murray, and he kind of pulls the same thing I do of like, go listen to smarter people, you know. But he's really trying to like poise a couple of questions around this, and he put this out on yesterday, the 15th, right? So we know even more than we did then, so keep that in mind. But anyway, so Craig Murray writes, "This is what I think of as a signpost article. It points you to something the mainstream media is deliberately not giving the prominence it needs. But I have no personal expertise or inside knowledge to give you. I am just giving you a start to get going. Several readers will have a much better understanding than I, and I encourage you to give your thoughts in the comments below. It is also worth noting that only the immediate improvement to freedom of speech on Twitter by Elon Musk has brought this to my attention. Several sources, particularly Citizens for Legitimate Government, have suddenly appeared on my feed again after being entirely suppressed. My own tweets are, for now, less suppressed. My own family have been receiving notifications from me after they were stopped for over a year. I am not in general a fan of billionaires like Musk. I do not know where Twitter will settle, but there is undoubted initial improvement. The FTX story seems truly remarkable. From being founded only in 2017, it rose to be a partner organization of the World Economic Forum and the second largest donor to Biden and the Democrats' midterm election campaign. It has now gone completely bust, taking every penny of its depositors' money with it. That is some trajectory, he writes. So, the World Economic Forum has deleted its FTX page, but the Wayback Machine has it. I suppose it is inevitable that dodgy chancers would create derivative markets for gambling on crypto. But I confess I had not given the matter much thought. It goes without saying, in those 5 years, the founder of FTX has managed to take a huge personal fortune out of the company before it went bust. FTX was a one-man company belonging to Sam Bankman-Fried. The board consisted of him, an employee, and the company lawyer. Over $20 billion of investors' funds from FTX were funneled to a fund management company, Alameda Research, also owned by Sam Bankman-Fried. $37 million was donated by Bankman-Fried to the Democrats for the 2022 elections. Every penny of that originated with duped FTX investors. That is in addition to the $5 million given to Biden 2020 campaign. FTX, of course, crashed instantly after those midterm elections, which is interesting timing. The BBC and The Guardian were consistently bombarding us with the term democracy denier in their coverage of the U.S. elections, strangely not in reference to Hillary's ludicrous claims that Russia interference was the cause of her loss in 2016. I view as a joke any notion that the U.S. is a democracy. Democracy is about giving citizens a choice of political direction. The 2022 elections saw a simply incredible campaign spend of U.S. $9.7 billion, yes, nearly $10 billion. This is not democracy. It is a huge exercise in corporate control from which the ordinary citizen is frozen out, despite an aggressive tribalism which has stalemated the political system for decades. The difference in policy platform between Democrats and Republicans is highly marginal, with no alternative on offer to rampant and uninhibited commercial exploitation of the population by its super wealthy. The Democrats are marginally more keen on attacking other countries. The Republicans are marginally more against measures to curb carbon emissions. Vaunted differences on immigration and welfare turn out to be very small indeed, with very little changing when the White House does. American elections are simply about the super rich funneling in vast donations, expecting to benefit with their team gets its nose in the trough, or often donating to both sides to benefit either way. I am not sure what the connection to democracy is supposed to be. One simple fact illustrates the true nature of the bribery fest. By far, the majority of the funds channeled through political action committees are given to incumbents who face no serious threat to re-election anyway. The PACs are interested in bribing those in power, not changing those in power. They are simple lobby groups with an opportunity for legal bribery. To illustrate that, the largest donating PACs are as followed: National Association of Realtors, National Beer Wholesalers Association, the American Israel Public Affairs Committee, Credit Union National Association, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and American Crystal Sugar. It is worth noting that Bankman-Fried donated 10 times as much as the largest PAC donation. This brought access. He and his brother had meetings inside the White House on March 7th, 22nd of April, and the 12th of May. It is perhaps unsurprising, therefore, that FTX was involved in Ukraine, offering to exchange cryptocurrency for fiat and send it to Ukraine in an official partnership with the Ukraine government. This was from their press release. Aid for Ukraine is cooperating with the cryptocurrency exchange FTX, which converts crypto funds received in fiat and sends the donations to the National Bank of Ukraine. This marks the first ever instance of a cryptocurrency exchange directly cooperating with a public financial entity to provide a conduit for crypto donations. Earlier this month, FTX already converted $1 million worth of SOL and transferred it to the National Bank of Ukraine. The collapse of the Bankman-Fried scam was allegedly caused by hackers stealing what should have been a comparatively small portion of the assets of FTX had they not been hived off elsewhere. Doubtless, we will shortly hear from state-salaried conspiracy theorists that this was Russia, Guccifer, an ISP address traced by Bellingcat to inside the Kremlin. What we have here is the Alan Stanford for 2022 with added political connections. We would do well to heed the advice of crypto developer Nikolai Mushigan, who had at his Twitter profile LARPers who self-style as CEOs or CTOs or VCs are a bigger problem than the establishment. They can't build anything and will sell you out in 2 seconds. His final tweet was posted on 28th of October. CIA and Mossad and pedo elite are running some kind of sex trafficking entrapment blackmail ring out of Puerto Rico and the Caribbean islands. They are going to frame me with a laptop planted by my ex-girlfriend who was a spy. They will torture me to death. Guess what happened next, Collin? The next day, he drowned in the sea off a beach in Puerto Rico. Where he lived, he was fully clothed, including a jacket. The police are not treating it as homicide. So presumably their theory is suicide by wading out to sea. States, of course, have a massive incentive to destroy non-fiat currencies or convert them into a new category of regulation. I am interested in the current discussion on smart state digital currencies, where the state can track, control, and block any transaction and know in real time exactly where each citizen or entity is spending or keeping every penny. Sounds nice, right?
Sounds great.
It occurs to me that this is the wrong way round. The state belongs to its citizens, not the citizens to the state. We should be able to track online every single penny of public money in real time and see how it is spent. Imagine being able to follow every penny of the billions the Tories spent on the fraudulent PPE contracts, for example. The only people whose personal currency should be able to be tracked are those who have held positions of power in the state. Their wealth and dealings should be available in great detail to public view. As for the rest of us, our money is ours, and we are entitled to privacy. Thoughts so far, Collin?
I'm not a finance guy. I'm not a crypto guy, but it kind of alludes to me like the internet, not the internet, like all these like big internet companies in the 90s.
Yeah.
That just suddenly crashed because there was just so much huge major interest in it. You know, I don't necessarily know all the details, but like, you know, this just seems to be like rich people playing with play money and they got played, basically.
Yes, but it's also with Ukraine being thrown in and this guy being murdered, it's like there's going to be a lot more to that, you know?
Sure.
Like,
Sure.
you know, so yeah, it's turning out poorly for El Salvador. There's a lot there. Again, I suggest people go and watch that stream with Tar on the Convo Couch, and also tune into How Do We Miss That this Sunday, where I'm sure me and Indy's going to cover this way more in depth than I did probably. So check that out. Sunday night. Saturday, we're doing our anniversary stream stuff, right?
Yes. It's our birthday. Yay.
Yeah.
Sinan's birthday. And yeah, so we're just thankful. Man, like, I mean, we've done this show now for what? This is almost 9 months now.
Yeah, this is episode 34.
So yeah, but I think the channel has been up now for well over a year now. Like, actually, I think we did our first stream together. I don't think today matches, but it's around this time last year that the channel went live when we kind of introduced ourselves to the world, being like, hey, you know. But it's been a year. But like I said earlier, I'm just really glad, you know, that I'm a part of this. Me too. You know, obviously there's been a lot of shit that's been going on in the midst of this, you know, just being in the space like more intentionally now and just kind of seeing the fuck shit that's part of it. But yeah, Indy's saying November 15th. So yesterday is our birthday, technically. You know, so as far as going live with our first stream together as a network. Yeah. So but you know, like I said, you know, I've grown a lot just in the year. I think in terms of me thinking of things in ways if I didn't do INN News in particular, I probably wouldn't necessarily think about, again, like just thinking in terms of my career, just the idea of what that means for me, direct action, and thinking in terms of unionization, especially in the education field. Like I wouldn't have necessarily thought about that if it wasn't for, being on this show. And I think by extension, how do we miss that? So like,
Yeah.
being on this show just really opened me up to thinking of things in a way that I wouldn't have. But then, like, I think just being more appreciative of what I have in terms of, my responsibility and the privilege. This is a privilege of being able to do this. And then the responsibility that we have to ensure that we're giving out the best information that we have that we're able to give to our audience. And I think
Yep.
just really just being there for them, like, I don't know any of you personally, but now I feel like, especially seeing in the chat, seeing familiar names coming every week, it definitely feels like a family.
Yeah.
So, I appreciate you guys coming in week after week, like even tonight, just like shitty computer problems, tech issues, guests not showing up, and like, things happening, but you guys have ridden it through us and have supported us, and and we're thankful for that. And like I said, we're very close to getting 1,000. I think the fuck shit over the weekend helped numbers, which is like a double-edged sword. Like we want to be known for good reasons, but we'll take it for the drama too. But we hope that you come for the drama, but you stay for the quality.
And usually,
But
like less than 10% of our content is going to be that. It's only if we're directly affected,
and keep in mind, like some BTS stuff. Like Reef and I talk about specifically what stories we want to cover, and oftentimes, not often, but sometimes it's like, do we really want to touch this story? And many times it's like, no, or wait, or But I think again, we are just very committed to try to talk about stuff that are not popular and the things that will not necessarily get us to clips. But as I said earlier, the information needs to be out there.
Yeah.
So we'd rather have the information out there and have you guys do what you need to do with it and have it be out there versus, doing it for the likes and the clicks and all that kind of stuff and kind of feeding into that machine too.
Yeah.
So
Speaking of clicks and
but-
stuff, if you want to leave a like and subscribe, that's always nice.
Please do.
And right there, scrolling across the screen, you'll see that indienews.network. You can find links to all the members of INN, including me and Collin there, as well as in the description below. That link's in there. And it has all the links to all of our channels and all the ways you can support us. You can go to our merch store at, I think it's indienews.shop, I think. Pick you up some merch.
Promote that more. We need to promote that more.
Yeah, we
holiday
do.
is here. You
I
gotta
know.
buy some shit.
Yeah, get some gifts.
Like, get some gifts. Actually, will be cool if you buy anything. Tag us.
Yeah.
That'll be stoked to see.
Yep.
So yeah, do that shit. We need to get some stuff to rock.
Yep.
The show too. Actually, like
I
should
agree.
think of that next week. But
Yep.
but yeah, like thank you guys so much. We love you, and we're really grateful for you. And thank you for helping us grow. And yeah, we're looking to grow a lot bigger. That being said, Indy, if you're here, any announcements that you have for the people?
I don't think so.
before
Other than
we get
that
out of here?
Saturday live stream, I don't think there's anything
Sunday, how we
happening
miss that.
tomorrow and Friday other than like I think Warren might do some secret shows maybe on one of those. So
Ellie says I'll buy shot glasses. We have shot glasses, right?
I don't think so. I don't think Teespring has them.
Oh, damn.
We'd have to like make
Oh,
them
damn.
custom, I think. But there's like a
Okay.
tumbler and some mugs and stuff that we can add. We'll try to make sure that that's filled out. And eventually we'll probably have to get our own merch store and have inventory and stuff. But until then.
Sunday, Indy's back, so it'll be a live stream.
Yep.
Next week though,
Yeah.
We might have a special guest next week.
Yeah.
We'll confirm, but you guys, I know it's going to be Thanksgiving, and a lot of you will probably be traveling, but it'll be worth if we're able to confirm with this person that I think you really will love. So, and we love this person to death. So you could probably guess who it might be, but yeah, we'll confirm and we'll let you guys know on Twitter who our special guests will be.
Yep. Stay tuned for that. But anyway, I think that's it. As always, labels are bad. Stay independent. Good night, friends.
We want to talk right down to earth in a language that everybody here can easily understand.